Protesters are moving toward the governor's mansion, demanding an economic boycott against several big-name companies until they announce support for systemic change. Faith Abube is there right now. Faith, give us an idea what the crowd looks like right now and the sort of vibe that's going on, if you would.
And Jeff, the protesters just arrived here in front of the governor's mansion. You're taking a live look at what they're doing now, which is kneeling on one knee and with their fists raised. We just saw two state patrolmen try to tell them to move out of the roadway or else they'll be shutting down this protest. They've been able to convince the officers that they're observing a moment of silence and that they'll soon move out of the way. So it seems like the State Patrol has left them alone for just a little bit. So right now they're just quietly kneeling and raising their fists and protesting police brutality and also calling for people to support Black-owned businesses. So this is specifically an economic boycott in the sense that they want to affect the bottom line of streaming services and entertainment platforms. Now, back in 2019, there was a report published on Nielsen's website that said that the African Americans have a really strong and powerful buying power. At the time, it was $47.8 million a year, which was on par with many countries' GDP, and it outpaces spending nationally, according to that report that was on Nielsen's website. So this is exactly why they're calling for this economic boycott. There are about 3 dozen or so protesters here so far, and they got here within the last 5 minutes. They originally gathered on West Paces Ferry, closer to the OK Cafe area. They were actually in that parking lot there, and that's about 2 miles from where we are now here at the governor's mansion. And there, the organizer basically explained to the group why they are gathered and told them the mission and asked them to post video, a pre-edited video that they've put together, to post that on social media starting tomorrow and explaining what the economic boycott is all about. And what they're really calling for specifically is for these supporters to cancel their subscriptions to entertainment platforms like Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, those platforms until they promise to support systemic changes that actually improve Black lives. And I talked to the organizer, Kyle Campbell, who is a recent graduate of Boston University, and here's how he explains it.
So the reason behind we want to boycott the non-Black owned streaming services is because for far too long these services have distributed Black culture and they've done very little to preserve, protect, and invest in it. They know what affects their bottom line, and they know that if they just put a hashtag Black Lives Matter on their new stuff, that it's not going to affect their bottom line as much. They don't really care. So what we want them to do is put their money where their mouth is and invest into lobbying efforts that actually help the Black community.
And they've already started an online petition that's garnered almost 11,000 signatures so far, and they're continuing to spread their message. We'll continue seeing what they plan to do here, and we'll explain as things develop here. Back to you, Jeff.